And now let's take thumb of one hand into the palm of the other. And inhale as you raise your arms up. Leave your shoulders relaxed. Exhale through the mouth. Breathe in through the nose, all the way out through the mouth. Warm your fingers. You have energy within you. And when you make friction happen in the body, some of that energy warms you up. 2 breaths. Hands up and then behind your neck for 2 breaths, or in front of the neck if that feels better. Extension as you breathe in. Slow hands to heart, breathing out. And a breath at the heart. Lengthen your arms. Could be the back of the wrists on the knees or the hands beside you. Let's lift one ear towards the sky. We're letting the head just hang in this position without effort. Just noticing the sensations that arise for 2 big breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And we're doing 2 breaths on each side. So when it feels right, change over. And then we will also be doing both sides twice. Change when you're ready, both sides twice. Continue to notice what you feel and where you feel it. Be mindful in this pose. When that's complete for you, we'll take the head side to side, looking at a spot on the side wall. 2 big breaths. Keeping the back of the neck nice and long. Feeling the crown of your head is the highest point of view. To the other side when you're ready. Once you're back at center, we'll drop chin towards chest and feel the lengthening that happens through the back of the neck. 2 breaths here. And walk your eyes across the floor, up the wall, across the ceiling, as far as your eyes and your neck want you to go. And open your mouth to breathe. Walk the eyes back. Until chin is on the chest again for 2 more breaths. Let your head float forward. Excellent. If you are sitting on the floor, we're going to change the legs to do our side stretch. If you're sitting on a chair, then you're good. You can stay as you are. If you're sitting on the floor, I invite you to keep one leg in front of you as it would be cross-legged, but take the other leg off to the other side. So sometimes I've called this a mermaid sit. I've got one leg where my shin is parallel to the long edge of the mat. That foot of that front leg is almost pressed against the thigh of the other leg, with the other foot hanging off to the side towards the back of me. So mermaid sit, if you can figure that out. Hands on either side, and we'll take one arm up and over. As we bend the elbow of the down arm, we're encouraging a big long side stretch right through the tips of the fingers as you breathe in. And then over to the other side as you breathe out. Likely you won't be able to go as far because our movement is different when we're in this position with the legs. And let's just go back and forth. So make this your own. Find a way to make this a good stretch for you. And follow the breath rhythm of you. You don't have to go my pace, go your pace. One more time on this side. Another arm. And then come back to center and let's change the legs. Again, if you're sitting on a chair, you can just stay as you are. If you're on the floor, then you've switched. The other front leg has got the shin parallel to the top of the mat. Hands on either side, and let's do it again. Stretching all the way through the armpit and to the edge of the fingertips. And finding a rhythm with your breathing. Once more. Excellent. And come back to cross-legged. Find your sitting bones. Lengthen your spine tall. And let's take one arm out in front of us, the other arm off to the side, and drop those shoulders way down. Look past your side fingers. And now keeping the arms in this right angle formation, we're taking a little twist towards the back. Continuing to drop our shoulders down from our ears for 2 big breaths. And changing the arms. So the other one is out in front, other one off to the side. Still, the shoulders come away from the ears. Look past your side fingers. Take that little twist towards the back and 2 big breaths. Excellent. Into eagle arms or variation. So maybe you can come all the way into one arm underneath the tricep of the other, fingers touching the palm of the other hand, thumbs pointed at your nose. Or instead, maybe you prefer to grab onto the elbow and just give a gentle tug to get the stretch. Either way, let's breathe. Pull the elbows a little bit away from the chest. Lift the elbows to shoulder height. And as you hold here, just adjust the head. Look side to side for a moment. See how the neck is in this position. And then bring head to center and elbows back down for one more breath. And let go of those arms, shake them out. Let's do the other side. Find whatever version of this will work for your body. Pull the elbows away from your chest and take a breath. Lift the elbows to shoulder height and breathe. Try looking both directions here. See how the head and neck are feeling. And bring those elbows back down for one more breath. And shake that out and bring those hands behind you so that you can interlace your fingers and pull your wrists apart from each other and straighten your elbows and start to lift your arms up and away from the body, shining out your heart, making space and room for the love that you have for yourself and others. Big breath. Let that go and give yourself a hug. Some of this is your own inner resource as well. A little bit of care directed inward here. Just breathe easily. You've got one arm on top. We're going to switch it up. Other arm on top. Give yourself a little more care and attention in this self-hug. Excellent. Grab a sip of water. And I'd like to invite us to start by lying on the back today. We're going to do the stretches that I often do for good back health and back care. They have some great ones for the hips and the legs embedded in that sequence because we know how related the hips and legs are to the back. So we're going to start by lying on the floor today, and then we'll come to standing after that. So get comfortable. On your back on the floor, I'm going to let go of my socks here. If you do have a strap close by, just have it handy. If you don't worry, we got variations. So there are 5 poses that I have been teaching for a long time as the ones that I do to take care of my back. And here they are. From lying on your back with your knees up, we're keeping the feet hip width apart and crossing. The ankle of one leg onto the thigh of the other leg. That leaves you with one foot still on the floor. We're going to use the fingers around the hamstring of the foot on the floor. So whatever foot is still on the floor, that's the leg you're grabbing. Interlacing fingers around the hamstring to pull it all towards you. Now we're going to hold here for 5 breaths today as we really allow the hips to open up. Stay present with it. Notice, what do you feel and where do you feel it? As you're holding, if your body wants to rock a tiny bit or make an adjustment that seems to feel right for you, that's always fine. Follow your body's lead. And let's change sides. Other ankle rests on the other thigh. Figure out which foot is on the ground. That's the leg we're reaching for with our hands. Interlace around the hamstring and pull toward you. 5 big breaths. Excellent. Lay the feet back down. We're keeping the knees up, but the feet are hip width apart. And we'll get into a bridge pose now. We're going to start by just activating our core a little bit, including our Kegel. So find that tiny little internal muscle that helps keep our pelvic floor healthy. We'll give a little squeeze there. Sometimes we imagine an elevator starting at the base of the pelvic floor and raising itself up. And then gently let that go with control, like you were the elevator operator, floor by floor by floor, releasing. And do that again. So just a little awareness here of the pelvic floor muscles. And then very slowly releasing them. It's a tough one to do. So if it doesn't feel like you've got a lot of slowness there, that's fine. Now activate all of that. So engage pelvic floor and your low abdominal muscles. Feel them reaching down towards your spine. So your core is strong and activated as you press your big toes into the mat and lift your tailbone up. And just with the tailbone hovering there, reactivate the core. Got the Kegel, the pelvic floor, the low abdominals activated. The toes are spread and pressing into the ground, allowing you now the strength to lift the next vertebra and the next and the next slowly until you've got weight on the back of the neck and the upper back. We're not forcing the hips as high as they can possibly go. We're not trying to pop everything up towards the sky. We're just trying to use control and core strength to hold here for a moment and then slowly lower. One vertebra at a time brings you down. And take a little moment to release all of that. Shake it out if you want to. And we get to do it again. Activate the core, including the Kegel and the low abs. Lift the tailbone. Re-engage. Make sure the core stayed with you. Toes are pressing. And now one vertebra at a time lifts up. Feel the length through the back of your neck. You want your chin tucked in pretty close to your chest once you've risen all the way up. And then back down we go. Trying to keep the knees hip width apart the whole time. So just notice if your knees tend to open up or to fall in. See if you can keep that hip widthness. Let it all go. We're going to do it once again. Reactivate, Kegel, core. Let the tailbone hover. Feel the toes pressing. And with strength and control, one vertebra at a time lifts you up. Find the length through the back of the neck. Keep the jaw relaxed. Open jaw. And one vertebra at a time takes you down. Beautiful. And then one of two poses is going to feel really good to you here. Either you're going to hug your knees into your chest and rock side to side, or it's going to feel really good to really stretch fully out. Legs stretched out below, arms stretched out above. Getting as long as you can. You can do either or both of those poses. Good. Excellent. Bring the legs back up. So that was the second in our series of 5 poses. First, we did the ankle resting on the thigh. Then we did the bridge. Our third one is to either use the strap, or if you don't have a strap, you're just going to use your fingers to interlace around the hamstring again. But this time we're pressing one heel towards the sky. So if you're interlacing around the hamstring with no strap, then it's your arms that are going to hold and start to pull the leg towards you simultaneously as your heel presses skyward. If you do have a strap, you can take it around the bottom of your leg. The hands can hold the strap while the heel presses towards the sky. And we're going to breathe here. My family for years, since I was 12, my family has engaged in doing the Terry Fox Run. And this is the Terry Fox Run weekend. Those of you with kids at school maybe remember the kids doing it. And it's been virtual the last couple of years, of course. But I did my 10K yesterday. And so that's the real reason why we're stretching legs and hips today, is because I really needed to. So now we're going to point the toes towards the sky and then flex the foot. A little pointing and a little flexing. Let's see how that is for you. Good. Let's change sides. Take the other foot into the strap or fingers around the hamstring of the other leg. And start to press that heel skyward. Now, of course, you can make any adjustments you need to make this work for you. If you have a strap, it's easy to adjust by just having basically the strap lets your arms be longer. So instead of your heel pressing towards the sky, if that's too intense, maybe your heel is pressing more towards the opposite wall. So you're just looking for wherever the leg can be to give you a good stretch through the back of the leg. And only you will know where that is. Let's try a little pointing and flexing. And notice how that changes what you feel. So where is the sensation when you're pointing? And where is the sensation when you're flexing? Beautiful. Let that go. Put the strap aside. The final two poses in our health of our back, but also to open up legs and hips. Turn us over onto our belly. So lie on your stomach. With your hands snugged right up close beside your chest, kind of right under your shoulders. Rock out your hips so that you're as loose as you can be through your core, through your low back, through your legs, and then rest your head on your chin. We've done this one lots. This is the one where we use the arms only. So the back is not to be engaged, neither is the core. The arms are to do all the work of pushing your chin and chest a little bit up off the ground. And you don't have to go high. It can be a really small movement. Keep those elbows tucked in close to your sides and then slowly down. And we're going to do this between 6 and 10 times. You decide how many and how far to go up. And keep it a really tiny movement. Make sure you're breathing. I'm going to do 10 today. However, if that's not the right amount for you, then you do you, and rest whenever you need to. Make sure the core is not working. We've left the back out of it. And when you get to the end, what you want to do, touch your chin down, touch your forehead down to release the back of the neck. Rest your arms and rest on each cheek and breathe. Now the fifth pose in this health of the low back sequence related to the hips and legs is a core strengthening one that also opens our chest and heart. So we do want to activate the core now. We want to press the pubic bone into the floor. Activate your pelvic floor, your Kegel, your low abdominals, squeeze everything internally. Keep you nice and strong there in the core. As you lift your chin up off the ground, your chest off the ground, your arms are reaching now. They're lifted off the ground, but the fingers are reaching down towards your feet. And if you feel you've got the strength for it today, you might lift the legs slightly off the ground as well. So we're hovering now. Lift it up in a version of Cobra. Breathing. So reaching the fingers towards the feet. Seeing how much openness you can feel in your heart as you shine it forward. And now really slowly, we're going to come down. Lots of control. Touch your chin. Touch your forehead. Rest on each cheek and rock out your hips and core. Let everything go now. We'll take a beautiful restoring pose here for a moment. I invite you to bend one knee. So you're sort of staying lying on your belly, but bringing one knee up closer to your hips, to the torso. Resting your arm anywhere that's comfortable. Perhaps you'll want to rest your head on your hand. And if we hold here for 5 breaths, so we start to get a little more openness through our hips. The legs start to shift a little bit, the hips start to shift a little bit as you find what's the resting position that feels restorative, but also has lots of opening in it. Beautiful, and it's yoga, so we have to do the other side as well. So lengthen that leg and bend the other knee. Same thing. The knee comes closer to the torso. An opportunity just to rest in any way that feels restorative here. 5 breaths. Excellent. Push yourself up to hands and knees. And let's spread the fingers wide, ensuring that the hands are directly underneath the shoulders. Knees are hip width apart. And take a moment to spread the toes wide. We're not doing anything with the toes just now, but just the feet do so much for us. We want to keep them healthy. So spread the toes and then let them come back to normal. Spread them again. Maybe a few little ankle circles there. And let's do our cat-cow, checking in with the back now that we've done some stretching for it. We're rounded and arching. Gentle ones the first couple of times. Good. I'm just going to turn myself around because my voice is closer to the microphone this way. Come to a tabletop, so a flat back. We're going to be using our core again. So here's another opportunity to squeeze your Kegel, pull those low abdominals up towards your spine. Feel that the core is activated so that you can lift one hand to hover off the ground, and the opposite knee also hovers. We're using our inner strength of our core to hold our bodies stable here. If you feel wobbly in this pose, I am when I turn to the side, then that's fine. It's just taking notice. How much are you able to hold still and strong? And how wobbly is it? And it kind of sets a baseline for you this fall. So as we do this pose more, you'll notice, am I starting to get a little more stable week to week? Put those ones down, relax the core, and let's do it again on the other side. Squeeze everything, activate your core and Kegel. Lift the other hand, lift the opposite knee, hold stable as you breathe. This one should build a little bit of heat for you. So if your house is feeling cool for fall, this one will help you warm up. Bring it down. We're going to do it again, this time with a little bit of awareness of the chest and the shoulder blades. So back to the first side. Contract your core. Lift the first hand and the opposite knee. And feel broad across your shoulder blades, really wide. Almost like you're lifting your chest up slightly. But the lifting of the chest allows the shoulder blades to get even wider. Bring those down, let it go for a moment. Let's do it again on the other side. Activate the core, lift the other hand, opposite knee. Hold stable. Feel broad across the shoulder blades. And now also feel long. The crown is pointing in one direction. The tailbone is pointing in the other. Can you feel long through your spine? Excellent. It's the smallest version of that pose, and yet to do it in that small way takes so much more strength. So thank you for being willing. Let's rest it out in a pose of child. Bring your hips back towards your heels, any way that works for you. If that's a challenge, you might want to put a pillow or a hoodie, sweater between your hips and your heels to give you a little extra way of getting into it. And then you can rest your head on your hands or your hands by your feet. 3 big breaths. Round yourself back up and grab a sip of water. Well done. We're going to take ourselves into downward dog for those who wish, alternates to downward dog for those who don't wish, and then go from a downward dog into a pigeon, knowing so much hip opening comes from pigeon. So, reminder, a wonderful alternate to downward dog, if you're not into those, is to come to hands and knees and stretch one leg out behind you, anchoring your toes to the mat and pushing your heel way away from you. So you're getting the same lengthening of the leg that we get in downward dog. And today I'll invite you to really be aware of the broadness of the shoulder blades, like we just did in our core strengthener. Let's do the other leg. So lifting the chest slightly, keeping the shoulder blades wide. Good. So you can alternate back and forth, or if you're doing a full downward dog, you're spreading your fingers, curling your toes, and sending your hips up. Keep your knees bent as you push your hips as far back as you can, and you feel long from the tips of your fingers to the top of your hips. Good. Hips a little higher now. Still pushing the hips back.
And if it feels right, press one heel down towards the floor. And then bend that knee and press the other heel towards the floor and just go back and forth that way. Now, if you've done lots of downward dogs and you know them, you know your body is good for them, then you can also play around with a three-legged dog. You could bend the knee, start to play around with the hips opening up, moving in this pose. So you decide. You want to let your body explore it today, or if you're going to keep it in the traditional. So we are going with the right leg into our pigeon. So it's the right knee that comes in between the two hands. The back leg is way out behind you. We've moved the right heel over to line up underneath the opposite hip. And we're up on our fingertips here, lengthening the spine. Now, a reminder that if that doesn't work for your body, I'll show you the alternative. You can do the same leg position lying on your back. You have a lot more control of it because you have a hand on your knee and a hand on your ankle, and you can use the hands to pull the leg across the body, the knee across the body, to get that beautiful stretch into your hip and buttock. So this is a good alternate. If you are up here high in your traditional pigeon, you now have the option to bring your head down if you like. We'll hold silently for 1 minute. Start to lift yourself back up. Return yourself to hands and knees. Unless you're very comfortable in the lying on your back version of pigeon and you just want to hang there until we're ready for the other side, that's fine too. If you're planning to get into the other side of pigeon through downward dog, then take a moment on your hands and knees just to look over the right shoulder at the right hip. Take a breath there. And then the other way, over the left shoulder at the left hip. And decide how you'd like to get into the other side. If you did downward dog and you want to do another one, send those hips up, far back as they can go. And again, press one heel at a time towards the ground. And it was the right leg that I played around with on that first side. So it's the left leg I'm lifting now to play with the body positioning, turn my hips out a bit, see how it's feeling. And when you're ready, we're going to be lifting that left leg high and then bringing the left knee through to land between the two hands. Right leg is far, far back behind us.
Left leg is the one that's bent in front. Left heel lines up under the opposite hip joint. And it doesn't matter how high. Some folks need to have their bodies quite high up. And maybe you want to tuck a pillow in there so that you can really rest it down. But it's fine. You don't have to be too close to the ground. We're coming up on the fingertips. We're lengthening our spines. And giving the body an opportunity to really open up here. So we're loosening the jaw, softening through the face. Letting the neck have some ease, shoulders dropping down, shoulder blades feeling like they're dripping down your back. Having a nice open heart in this first part of the position. And then you're welcome to stay here or bring the head down. And we'll hold for a minute silently. And come on back. Good. Again, to hands and knees. We're going to be moving slowly to standing to do just a couple of standing poses, and then we'll head back to Shavasana and a little bit more time on the ground. If you're choosing to join me in standing poses, you can get up to standing any way you like. One option is to take another downward dog and walk your toes towards your fingers. And if you've chosen that way, then you can dangle there for a moment in a forward release, holding hands at elbows, letting the spine dangle long, keeping the knees bent. And then contract your core to have the strength within you to slowly ragdoll your way up. The head will be the last part to float forward. And today I invite you to open your arms up to the sides as they head towards the sky. And if the core is strong today and you feel like you can hold a back bend, reach those hands behind you slightly, activating the core. Lift your eyes skyward and breathe. And then come back to center, bring hands together and to the heart. Excellent. Oh, I see I'm totally off the screen. All right, let's move the camera. Good. Okay. You are standing. Let's step forward with one foot. It's not a large step for this one. So we've got the front knee bent, the back leg straight. We're doing this so that we can stretch the back calf. So we're really pressing the back heel into the floor. Both of our hips are squared facing forward. And since we've got nothing to do with our arms, We like to take the opposite hand as the forward knee and bend it. And either you're going to press one hand against the elbow so that we're now opening up through the tricep as well. Or perhaps you can reach behind you with those fingers and link them together behind you. Either way gives you a beautiful arm stretch at the same time as this calf stretch. Let's breathe. Then keep the legs as they are, but open the elbows wide. Shoulders low. Spread the fingers wide. And 3 breaths. Hearts are full and big. Breath supporting all of the oxygen going to the heart. Letting it do its job of pumping the oxygen where it needs to go in your body. Bring the arms in, change the legs, step the other one forward. Front knee bent, back leg straight. Press that back heel into the floor. Opposite hand as your forward knee. It's the one that bends. And you're going to press on that elbow or reach from below and link fingers and 3 breaths. Let go of the hands, but bring the elbows wide now. Spread the fingers wide. Drop the shoulders down. Keep the back of the neck nice and long and breathe. Loose jaw. Arms in and release the legs. Give them a good shake. Excellent. We do one more standing pose today, and that is to cross one leg over the other leg. I have crossed my right leg over my left, so my right knee is the one that's in front. So for me, I'm taking the right hand, the same arm as the leg in front, and tucking it into an imaginary back pocket behind me on the opposite side. Now I'm tipping the opposite way. So if it's my right knee that's in front, I'm tipping towards the left, keeping my eyes focused on something for 3 breaths. And just notice what you feel here. If anything, some folks feel nothing in this pose, so that's okay too. Come on back after 3 breaths and let's change it. Cross the other leg over. So I've crossed my left leg now over my right. Take the left hand, put it in the imaginary back pocket on the opposite side, and drop the shoulder down. You want lots of space between ears and shoulder. And now we're going to tip to the right, but I want you to do it on this side with lots of awareness of the feet. So feel the 4 corners of each foot anchoring you to the ground. Really feel connection between feet and floor. And keep that connection as you find your eye focus and tip now towards the right. 3 breaths. Come on back up. Excellent. Grab a sip of water as we transition into Shavasana. Your choice if you'd like to lay down fully outstretched or be in a seated position of any kind. We're going to work with that same idea of the inner resource. It's the passage that I read to you from Kate Holcomb at the beginning of this class. If you did not yet have an image come to you, I'll share that the one that I use from our work with the chakras is the idea of white light entering the crown chakra and starting to make its way down the whole chakra system and filling the whole body with white light. So that's the image that works for me. You're welcome to try it or keep the one that works for you. So please get comfortable as you can be. If you feel like you've gotten a little cooler, you can grab a blanket or a sweater or your socks. This is part of your self-care, is to give yourself what you need to be comfortable on your mat. Take a moment to feel the parts of you that are in contact with the ground. And ensure that your spine is long in whatever position you've chosen to be in. Close your eyes. Relax your chin and your neck. And take a few easy, relaxed breaths. Ensure your hands are comfortable wherever you've rested them. Continue to breathe comfortably. I invite you to visualize the quality or the image that you most associate with a force greater than yourself. This could be a wise person, an elder, a religious figure or symbol, or something in nature. It could be a quality like compassion, reverence for life, or joy. Whatever you choose, it should feel like a positive support. Whatever you've chosen now, take a moment or a few moments to sit with it. Try it out. Does it feel like a positive support to you? Like an inner resource? Explore the image with your senses. Imagine what it looks like, what it might sound like. And pay attention to the feeling that happens inside you, the emotion that conjuring this image brings. If it feels like a positive support, keep it. If it's not quite right just yet, then let that one go and notice if something else comes to you. Next, I invite you, as you breathe in, to bring your palms up and together over your heart, filling your heart with the image. As you breathe out, lower your palms and imagine the feeling or force emanating outward from your heart throughout your entire body. Breathe in and fill your heart with the image. Breathe out and feel that force emanating outward from your heart throughout your entire body, suffusing every part of your being. Breathe in, fill your heart with the image. Breathe out. Let the feeling or force fill you and go beyond you. And we'll do that silently for 1 more minute. You can choose to move the hands in sync with the breath to the heart and back, or just rest the hands. Once you've finished that breath, let go of the image and just sit quietly or lay quietly and breathe comfortably for a few more moments. Know that this resource is always within you, an inextricable part of your very being that is always there to support you, no matter what might be happening around you or to you. You can rest in the support of this force. Now, take 3 deeper breaths. Sigh the breaths out as you start to move a little bit through fingers and toes. And bringing movement back to the body any way that feels good. If you are lying down, I invite you to turn onto your side and push yourself up to sitting. If you're sitting, sit with the legs out in front of you. Take a moment to cross the leg above the knee, sitting tall. Hinging forward from our hips, we'll put a little weight of the elbow onto the bent knee. And then try pointing the long toes, the toes of the leg out in front, and flexing. And pointing and flexing. In the back, straight. Breathing as you need to. Good. Crossing this leg all the way over and giving a hug to the knee, shoulders low. One long breath here. Taking the same hand as the knee that is up, reaching it to get long through the side, and then bringing those top fingers down to touch the inside of the foot. Taking the free arm behind you, planting the hand behind your hip. Breathe in and get tall through your spine. Breathe out and take a little twist to look towards that back hand. And one more, breathe in and get tall. Breathe out and twist. Come back to center, shake out the legs, cross the other one over, sit tall, hinge forward from your hips. Put a little weight on this bent knee and heel press, and then point the toes, heel press, point the toes, and breathe. Cross this leg all the way over. Hug the knee to you. Find your sit bones. Take a long breath with shoulders low. Take the same hand as the knee that is up. Stretch it so that whole side is long. Then bring those top fingers down to hold the inside of your foot. Plant the other hand behind your hip. Breathe in and get tall through your spine. Breathe out as you twist towards that back hand. One more time, breathing in, tall, tall. Breathe out and twist. Come on back to center. Shake out the legs and find any way to sit that works for you. And we'll close. Thumb into the hand. Inhale and raise your arms up. Shoulders low. Breathing in through the nose. All the way out through the mouth. Hands together. 2 breaths. Hands up and then behind or in front of the neck. Full extension, breathing in. Slow hands to heart, breathing out. And the breath at the heart. Namaste.